Oh,
What would
no,
go
what were you
ahead?
gonna say? No, no, no.
You had an epiphany.
Well,
Mine was a
it
stupid.
was gonna be something about spending $10,000 that Mr. Beast gave me. What were you gonna say?
Let's hear it.
Oh my god, they were roommates.
Welcome to the Roommates Couch Podcast. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Kelton.
So tell me about Chan's drama.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so my wife, she works for, well, doesn't, it's not even a job, but they call it a job, and so it's very misleading. But essentially, we go to a gym, and we have a little 2-year-old daughter, and this gym has a daycare, but they can't legally call it a daycare because nobody that works there is
Oh,
a
they're not
professional,
licensed.
not
Oh,
licensed, nothing. So it's like this shady loophole of we're a group of women that like to go to the gym. There's a space in the gym with toys that we volunteer our time to watch each other's kids while they can go to the gym. So here's
okay.
this sketchy loophole situation that my wife has been involved in. So she signs up for it, and as a member of the group, you get a free gym pass, and then your child also gets free daycare. It's not daycare, but I'm going to call it daycare for the
Yeah,
sake of the story,
yeah.
right? And they get free daycare as you go to the gym. And so Chan, she's been going to the gym. She enjoys it. She doesn't mind her shift that she has to work to watch the kids and stuff like. So it's been a pretty good thing up till about a month ago. And then all of a sudden, the gal who kind of runs the business or runs the group of women, she like puts this poster on the wall and it's like, starting such and such a day, it's mandatory that everyone purchase a $20 T-shirt to show that you're an employee or of this thing. Okay,
What?
and it's $20, like nothing that's like gonna break the bank.
Earth
But
shattering, but still
yeah,
required.
yeah, that's what pissed me off is because my wife had to sign a contract before she started this thing, and the contract was like binding to an 8 month long period of her showing up once a week for a 3 hour shift to do this thing. Okay.
What the?
And yeah, so she signs a contract and it has these requirements. And if she misses, then she's like, they make her feel bad, like she missed a shift of work and then she needs to make it up and all that type of stuff. So it quickly kind of evolved into this. It's a job, like it's a freaking job and you need to show up. And so then the t-shirt thing happens and I'm like, okay, that wasn't in your contract. Don't buy the shirt. Like if they say anything to you, it's like, what are you gonna do? Fire me? Like it's
I'm
just
doing
weird.
this
So
for
I was like,
free.
yeah. I was like, don't buy the shirt. So we didn't buy the shirt. It kind of became a thing where like people were kind of like talking like, oh, you didn't buy our shirt, blah blah blah. But all the other women kind of just like bent over and did it, right? And so that happens and stuff, and it's kind of a thing. Then the gal who kind of runs the business, like my wife and her like butt heads, like it's not good. And there was an instance where there was a child that was put in a room, and when my wife showed up for her shift, she was like, "What's going on with this kid?" You know, and the kid was crying and stuff. And jokingly, the kind of the lady that runs it, she was like, she when she cries, I just put her in that room. I put her in that room because she needs to learn to get over it, like her
Whoops.
mom leaving and stuff. Yep.
That's not what you say.
So no, it's not. And so that happened, and my wife instantly went over, grabbed the kid, consoled her, calmed her down. And it's kind of like a reoccurring thing with that kid that, like, when her mom drops her off, she's pretty upset. But that's the shift that Chen works, and so she just sits there and hangs out with the kid. That's the instance that happens. So I'm cutting out like a ton of details, but essentially it all boiled up till this evening, and it just turned into this total crap storm where the gal who runs it, she there was a Facebook post that got put on this mom's group, and in the mom's group, one of the as an anonymous poster, she just said, "I don't trust the gym group. I feel like my child's being abused, and this is kind of messed up." And it was all like pretty obvious that it was probably talking about this kid in that instance
Uh
of
huh.
being locked in a room and stuff. And so Chan likely had a touch point with this whole thing, but there may have been like a more serious instance that she wasn't involved in. But what happened is the women got to talking, and it just kind of spiraled and spiraled and spiraled, and essentially it was like Chan's the one.
They just threw her under the
Chan
bus because she didn't buy a
wrote
shirt.
the yeah, like she wrote the post. She's trying to get this lady fired. Blah blah blah. So it just got huge and messy and a big deal. And so I just like, get the crap out of there. Like
Yeah,
just be done.
seriously.
So she just got back and she quit, and it's not a thing hopefully anymore. But good gravy, dude. It's just it's ridiculous. Like people first off, that what that lady's doing is messed up,
Yeah.
and she's the own like the boss lady, so she can do whatever she wants, kind of without any repercussions. And apparently, like multiple people have made comments, and they've quit because they
They just
can't
get like
stand
pushed
doing,
out.
yeah, because they get pushed out, and so it's like it's a pattern of abuse, and that lady should get the crap out of there. But
Interesting.
it's a mess.
I wonder, I know they're not technically calling it daycare, and that's kind of how they work around that, but I'm sure that there's like some kind of restrictive rules around, like, if it were like a private residence, it would be different because then you can just call it a play date. But like, since it's a business, there has to be some kind of regulation on that.
Well, it's a freaking joke because we broke it down. Another thing that they did, and I spared this detail, but I'm bringing it back in, is 2 weeks ago they said we're bumping up the hours required in order for this to be free. So
Oh.
now instead of a 3-hour shift, you have to do a 4-hour shift, and you have to, so it's like they're increasing the amount of time. You break it down, like it was simple math. I was like, Chan, you could go work any minimum paying job, and you could pay for 2 memberships. Like
Yeah.
they are
For 4 hours
it
a
was
week? Yeah.
yeah, it's just ridiculous. And so it's like we can pay for it. Like you don't need to put yourself through this situation, And so that's the part that gets me is like they keep acting like, oh, we don't need licensed professionals to watch your children because it's just like an agreement. It's not a daycare, blah blah. But then at the same time, you're gonna force people's hands and make them work longer, and it was just like,
Force them to buy a uniform, and like, it's a daycare. Like,
yeah, it's a
you're
daycare.
getting paid in gym membership. That's all that it is. So
Yeah.
anybody in
Applebee's-
Idaho Falls that knows laws, email us at roommatescouch@gmail.com.
No,
A lot of lawyers here.
it's unnecessary drama that I'm just like, it's so dumb. And the thing that's kind of crazy about it is like, Chan really didn't do anything wrong. Like
Yeah.
she wasn't the one that reported it. She didn't do anything, and it's just like because of people's gossip and talk, like
She's
they
just getting
just
thrown under the bus.
yeah. And so it was an easy way to just say screw this, we're done. But it's people are weird.
Yeah.
That's a weird situation, eh?
Ugh. What about the rest of your day? What was the other thing?
The rest of my day has been an absolute crap storm. Like everything has sucked today. I do this periodically, and today I haven't learned this lesson. I just wish I would freaking learn this lesson. So we bought we bought it's an under the counter water purifier. So
Oh, sure.
my yeah
Like the reverse
Chan is-
osmosis thing that like hooks
Yeah.
up to the sink.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
So Chan is a water snob, like to the extreme. She
100%.
will not drink tap water. It's like
for
always
her.
bottled water. And I just don't drink water. I think I haven't had a cup of water since 4th grade, since the last time I read a book. But so we bought this thing, and because we finally realized, we're like, holy crap, we're spending like hundreds of dollars a month on bottled waters.
Hundreds
And-
a month? How much water does she drink? She's taking
I don't know.
baths in
She
bottled
does about
water?
she probably does a couple cases a month, like legit.
Cases are
I don't
$3,
know, not
dude.
hundreds. I don't know. But we're spending money, maybe hundreds in a year. And so I was like, she looked into these options, found this water purifier thing. Sweet, it's gonna save us money in the long run. Let's do it.
Sure.
So, she goes to work, and I was like, I'm gonna dive into this. I'm gonna get it set up and stuff. I put the whole thing together in 10 minutes. So in 10 minutes time, it was completely put together. I go to turn the water on, and I flip it on, and it just leaks like crazy. Like it's just leaking everywhere. And I was like, goodness. Okay, so I take it all apart, and I'm looking at them like, what's going on, all this type of stuff. And there was this little rubber gasket that had fallen out by the time
Oh.
I pieced it all together.
Yep.
And so I was like, oh, okay, that not a big deal. I can put that back in. So I throw it back in, and I'm going to tighten it. And as I'm tightening it, I literally have the thought, I'm like, I'm using the wrong tool for this. I'm using vice grips, and I'm not using a crescent wrench and stuff. And I'm like, I'm using the wrong tool. Don't screw this up. And as soon as I said that, I squeezed a little bit too hard and took one of the bolts and just like munched it. So it gets munched in. And I was like, crap. So I'm like panicking and stuff. And I'm trying to get it on. And 20, 30, 40, 50 minutes just rolling by of me just fiddling with this thing, trying to get it to go on. And it won't go on. And so I'm pissed. I'm just getting more and more pissed. And I was like, I'm just going to go to the store. I'm going to buy the right part, and it's going to be done. So I load up Hudson. We drive to the store, and we get to the store, show the guy at the counter. He's like, this is the weirdest piece I've ever seen. It's like, this is not a real thing. And apparently it's some special fitting that doesn't exist in the real world. It's like designed specifically for that piece. And so I was like, gotta be kidding me. I don't want to buy a whole new set. I don't want to return, I didn't want to go through the whole thing,
Yeah.
gambit. So we started talking and we eventually decided like, oh, we could probably tap it. So we went, got the tap and we went through, came back, tapped it, put it back in, put the water on, leaked again, took it all off, put on some Teflon tape. I put just an insane
I
amount
love
of Teflon tape.
That's my best friend.
Amazing. And put enough on there, tightened it all up, and it worked. But my 10-minute project, literally 10 minutes, turned into easily 3.5 hours of just being freaking frustrated.
So that reminds me, when we first bought this house, the previous homeowner left a hose in the backyard attached to the hose bib. And I think I told you this when you came to visit, but I tried for the first 6 months that we lived here to like twist it off by hand. I would get double crescent wrenches and like was really just getting after it. And this hose was like welded onto the bib on the backyard. And every time I would like feel a little bit strong or like, I don't have anything to do, I'm going to try to get that hose off. Like I used penetrating oils and like all kinds of stuff in there. And I was sitting there thinking to myself the exact same thing. I was like, there's got to be like a tool for this. And I had double crescent wrenches. And as soon as I thought there has to be a tool that I'm not using that would make this easier, I literally just folded that copper pipe in half that comes off the outside of the house and water everywhere, all over the backyard. It's leaking. We have unbelievable water pressure here. And it's everywhere. So I have to turn off the water to the house. And I run to Home Depot and I'm trying to get like shark bite adapters and like all kinds of stuff just so I can close off this stupid copper pipe. And I had ordered a new fitting on Amazon because I was like, I don't want to go to Home Depot. It's $3 on Amazon. They can deliver it today. Like, who cares? So I ordered it, wrong size. Ended up going to Home Depot anyway to get all these shark bite fittings so I could turn the water back on in the house, and can't get anything to hold. Like, it is just pouring water. Like, dozens of gallons a second. Like, there's so much water everywhere every time I turn it on. And I'm like hammering shark bite after shark bite onto this like 1-inch little pipe that just is like sticking out of the backside of my house. And I'm getting super, super frustrated. So same thing, like a project that should take 4 minutes of just taking a hose off turns into like, I have to now call a plumber because I can't get this stupid thing on. And like the shark bites aren't holding. And I ended up taking the too big of a size hose bib that I had bought and quote unquote tapped it onto the copper pipe. I literally just twisted it on as hard as I could, and it held water for 2 days, and I had to call a plumber, and it cost me $300 to fix because I couldn't get a hose off, and that was just the worst day.
It is, dude. And it's just like, I don't know if it's just a man thing. It's just like an early adult training, dad training ground that you have to go through.
You visualize it. You're like, I can do this. This is easy.
Yeah.
And then you just break shit, and it's not worth it.
Just downhill from there. But I will say the jobs got done. Well, $300 later.
I had to call a plumber. I couldn't do it. He had to cut it off and like solder on new pieces and stuff. Like, it was a whole ordeal. But
oh, geez, that reminds me of I used to work in the cemetery in high school. That was like my job. I did cemeteries and ballparks. And one day we were mapping out a sprinkler system for this field, and I drove this truck, and we called it the 1-ton. It was a 1-ton truck. And we had filled the whole entire back of it full of dirt for all these holes for the heads and trenches that we dug for this sprinkler system. And I was driving, and there was two gaps. There was this one gap that was really tight between two trees, and then there was another gap where it was bigger, but there was this kind of like this like steel box type of thing. And I was like, I think I could straddle over that steel box, and I would be fine. So I opted for the bigger gap, drove the 1-ton over it, and I got my front tires over the top. And then they hit over the curb onto the road, and then all of a sudden it just went boom. And I just remember like my head hit the top of the cab of the truck, and then when I like kind of came to, the truck was like facing the sky, and it was just dumping water. Like I could just see a bunch of water coming on the front of the windshield, and I'd like open the door, and I'm just getting like freaking toasted and stuff, and I just like take off running away from it, and I look back, and I'd hit this main water line to the city. And it was just shooting like a old Faithful
like a
geyser. Like 100 feet in the air. And I was like, no. Like, I went into pure panic mode and just started running. And I was like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to go. I don't even know how you turn this off. And I just started running. And so I ran, and then all of a sudden my boss like pulls up because someone called, and they're like, hey, this idiot just blew up the main water line.
This 14-year-old just destroyed this bike.
And I don't know how, but they somehow got it turned off. But by the time they had turned it off, it had eaten like a part of the road, ate the whole sidewalk. Like it
Oh
was
no.
a crater, dude. It was not good. That was a bad day, but it did lead to one of the best pieces of advice that I've ever received. My boss at the time, just a baller, just like a really good dude. And I just was crushed because I was like, I've made this huge mistake and I can't recover from this.
Yeah.
And his line that he said is he's like, show me a man that's never made a mistake, and I'll show you the same man and tell you that he's done nothing with his life. And I that was always just like kind of a theme I just rolled with. I was like, yep,
There
I
you
screwed
go.
up, ate the sidewalk, but make mistakes,
At
get
least
through
you're
it.
doing
And
something.
at least you're doing something.
Yeah, it's interesting because I started a new job this week, but in like my little we have our like orientation or whatever for all the new employees next week, and they sent me over like a questionnaire to fill out, and question number 2 or 3 was like, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received? And I literally wrote on there like, I cannot think of a single piece of advice I've ever gotten in my whole life. And I have this weird thing where like just the pressure of trying to answer a question, everything I've ever heard just disappears from my mind. So even right now, I could not tell you a single piece of advice I've ever heard.
That is incredible. I hate that feeling. I feel like there's a couple times in my life where I've just bombed so bad when people ask me questions, and I'm just like, I'm dumb. I did it freaking tonight at Ace Hardware when I was getting all my pieces. The lady was like, "Do you have a number with us?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do. 435." And then all of a sudden I was like, "I do this every time I come to Ace Hardware, and they tell me every time I don't have a number with them." So as I get halfway through it, I stop and I say, "I don't have a number with you." And she was like, "Okay." And then at the end she was like, "Do you want your receipt?" And I always say no. It's just I always say
Oh,
no.
yeah.
I don't want to carry your stupid piece of paper.
Yeah.
But I knew I was probably going to return this piece because I was not confident in my abilities or my judgment this evening that I was going to get the right part. So I said no, and then I take one step and I say, "Just kidding, give it to me." And
She
she's
thinks
like,
you're an idiot.
"Yeah." She looked at me. She said, "You're a real yes no type of guy, aren't you?" I was like, "No, I'm just an idiot."
My brain's just not turned on. Thank you. It's been a bad day.
been a rough one. Oh gosh. That's so funny that you got asked that because that was something for the podcast that I was thinking. I was like, oh, good pieces of advice. So
Oh,
I'll drop some nut.
I wouldn't have anything for you.
I was thinking like advice I'd want the world to know, things that have changed my life, and maybe we can segue this into another thought I had. But
Sure.
I I feel like really good piece of advice I got one time was don't at the time he was talking about writing a journal, but I think it's applicable to other things. Don't write your journal for your hypothetical grandchildren. And that one like was very poignant to me at that point in my life because he basically said, I bet you've tried keeping a journal multiple times in your life. And I was like, yep. And he's like, and I bet you write it towards some great grandkid picking that up and
Posterity
gleaning
that
all
for
this
some
wisdom.
reason cares what you were
Yeah.
doing.
And literally every single time I write a journal, like my very first page is like, to whom it may concern of my posterity. Like, I literally do write it towards like those people. And his point was just basically like, the point of journaling isn't for them, it's for you. It's to think through your things and stuff. And I think it's just applicable across the board. Just like don't just do things for other people's sake. Like, doesn't just live for you and do things for you and right now. And I think that's a good piece.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask you if you could go back to early version Mimit and you could give him advice. Let's say your 16-year-old self.
I have the perfect
And
answer.
Okay, knowing what you know now, going back to your 16-year-old self, what do you tell him?
The first time I moved out of my house, my parents' house, I moved across the country with one of my best friends. We were doing door-to-door sales, pest control in North Carolina, and it was terrible, and I hated it. But it was really good because I was out of the house, and like that was the first time that I'd really like taken care of myself. And like my friend had to teach me how to use a washing machine because like I had just never learned how to do laundry and like all this stuff. But because I was out of the house for the first time, I spent an obscene amount of time on the internet, just doing whatever. Like I was on 4chan, I was on Funny Junk, I was making memes, I was broing down with people from all over, and it was just so fun. And I was becoming a brony, and it was just a weird time in my life. And I had heard through the grapevine and through all these like digital friends that I will never meet about Bitcoin. And at the time, Bitcoin was less than 60 cents a coin. And I had told my best friend, not the roommate that I had, but my best friend that was still in Arizona, that I was like, I'm thinking about putting like $100 into Bitcoin just to see where it goes. And my best friend, who I'm still very, very good friends with, we hang out with them all the time, him and his wife. And he was like, no, don't waste your money. Like, it's never going to go anywhere. Don't worry about it. And like, Bitcoin peaked at over $60,000 a coin. And so if I had followed my intuition on it, my $100 would have become like $5.9 million or something like that. That is my advice to young Mehmet. Just every penny that you can scrape together, dump into Bitcoin and then pull it out in 2020. Like, completely get out of, because I'm out of crypto right now. I don't have any holdings right now, but like, dump everything and then get out of crypto in 2020 and then kind of see where it goes from there. But that would be my advice.
The thing that kills me about the Bitcoin thing is like the very first time I heard it, it was like 6-7 years ago, and I was in a group project with these other kids, and one of the kids like very very financially savvy kid, and he was like, yeah, I'm throwing all my money into Bitcoin right now. And at the time it was kind of like starting like the kind of the craze and stuff, and then like it was hundreds of dollars to get Bitcoin, and I was like, who would spend that type of money on that,
Yeah.
And I'm sure that kid is just rolling in it
He's
because his
bankrolled.
philosophy at that time was like, I will sit on this for 5 years. I don't care. Like, I do not care if it goes to complete zero or it goes to $1 million. He's like, I will sit on it for 5 years. And it probably would have like been right around peak. Like, that kid is probably rolling in it. But the thing that kills me is like, for that 5 years, you still could have got into it and still could have got, and I just
All
sat
the
there
time
on the
in the world.
sidelines. I just sat there on the sidelines thinking, oh, maybe. And then you pushed me into it at one point and said, get some stuff. And I got some
Right
stuff.
at the top of the market.
Right at the top. And I can't figure it out. Like, I know right now I have funds I can't access. Like, I can't get in my wallet. I don't understand the transfer
Oh,
thing.
no.
Yeah, I've really screwed myself. So I basically threw away $100 but maybe 20 years from now, I've invested in some obscure coin that
You do.
takes off.
You have Matic, and eventually Polygon Matic is going to go big. And that's one that I still watch to this day. But it's funny because you're exactly right. When we were roommates, I don't know if you remember, Bitcoin was like, it was going. And it hit $16,000. And we were like, holy shit. Bitcoin is worth so much money. And even if you had bought back then, 16 to 60, that's a massive jump. So it's never too late. I need to get back into my crypto stuff. I sold everything so that we could buy our house, and I just haven't bought back in yet. So just the wrong time.
You did pretty good, didn't you, for a while?
Not bad. I think in 2020 and 2021, between the 2 years, I was getting like 35% each year.
Dang.
So depending on how much money I had at the time, because like it fluctuated a lot, but I was pretty good at picking coins and watching trends. And I used to, I don't know if you remember, I don't know if I want to say his name in the podcast.
Oh, okay.
I'll probably just bleep it out or something. he used to text me like 4 times a week, like, what's your pick? And I'd be like, oh, dog, this week, you better be hitting on Litecoin or something stupid. And yeah, I did okay for
cool.
sure.
Cool.
But
Does Stott still play in that space?
I don't know. I doubt it. They're just about ready to have a baby, so I'm sure that Haley has really reined him in on like, get the cash together. But he was crushing it for a while on his stock stuff. He made like 10 grand on Carnival Cruise stock in like 3 months, and
That's awesome.
told me about it, and I was like, wow, that's so incredible. And he's like, yeah, and I'm gonna be doing these others, and like I watched all the stocks he picks just shoot straight up, so I'm sure that they're doing just fine.
Yeah. He told me one time, and this is probably wrong, so if you listen, I apologize, but we were sitting in Panda Express, and it was right during Bitcoin absolute bonkers roller coaster. It was low, it was high, all the type of stuff. And in like a 2-week span, he told me that he made 20 grand.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that's awesome.
That's crazy.
So stressful, but so cool.
Very high stress,
Yeah.
but it's cool.
Yeah, I'm too risk adverse for any of that crap, dude.
Yeah.
We finally, and it's embarrassing because I'm almost in my 30s, but we finally were like, hey, we need to stop saving because we do quite a bit of saving and stuff, and so we finally have shifted and we're just investing because
like 401k or
we're really not not risky, so we're just doing SNLP and just
Okay.
dumping stuff into there and
yeah,
riding it out.
Perfect.
And then my 401k too. But
Yeah. That was another thing I cashed out when we bought our house because I wasn't sure how much we needed. Like I had never bought a house before, and so I sold all my crypto. I cashed out my 401k. We pulled a couple grand out of our HSA, health savings account, and like that one hurts when you do taxes. That sucked so bad because like you have to pay taxes on that. And so we bought our house, didn't even need the money we pulled out of the HSA, and then had to pay 40% tax on it. So
oh gosh,
that
that
sucks.
sucks
But
so bad. So HSA, it's non-tax if you use it for medical expense.
exactly. Yeah. So it
Ah,
comes out of
okay.
your check pre-tax, and then you never pay tax on it as long as it's a qualified purchase. You can use it for whatever you want, but you're going to pay a fatty tax on it if you do. So
Yeah. I'm gonna pivot to an HSA at some point, but right now I'm just like on this super high, terrible insurance premium offered through my business. It's better than going private, but we're having another baby here in May, and so we're like, let's just get that one covered as much as we can. We'll pay
yeah,
it throughout the year.
absolutely.
But health insurance, dude, it just is the freaking worst. Did you get benefits with this new job?
I will, yeah. And luckily for employees, everything's covered. So like
Oh,
I
sweet.
have I have like copays and that kind of stuff, but nothing like actually comes out of my check, which is really nice because that's how it was at my previous job too. And before, because Serena's been at this company for 5 years, before I was at a job that offered decent health insurance, I was just on her plan, and I think we were paying it was like $240 every other week for me to have medical, dental, and vision. And like, I never went to the doctor. I never got new glasses. I haven't been to the dentist in an uncomfortable amount of time. And I keep thinking about it and I'm like, man, I gotta go to the dentist. So the minute I get my dental insurance card, I'm at the dentist because it's been a minute.
Oh, dude. Yeah, we're paying a lot right now. That's the unfortunate part of startups. I've worked for startups my whole working career, and I stayed with my first startup all the way up to the point where they finally got good benefits, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna
I'm gonna
go to
leave.
another place that has terrible benefits. And yeah, that's been a fun thing. We spend a lot of money making sure that we're covered. And like you said, I don't go to the hospital. I don't go to the doctor. Like I don't.
Yep.
But we do have babies, and babies are expensive, and that sucks.
No. It's funny because it was like the minute after or I guess not the minute, but like I got decent health insurance with the first company that I was doing mortgage with and was pretty depressed and it was like a pretty not excellent time. And so I went to the doctor and got antidepressants and I got 1 month's worth. And then I left that job and got to my new job and then I had to wait 90 days. And then I finally got my card and I was only there for 7 months because they laid me off and I just hadn't got around to going to the doctor. And so they laid me off and they're like, you have insurance till the end of the month. And so I had to like scramble to get an appointment to get a refill on my prescriptions because I was like snapping pills in half and taking them like once every 3 days just because like I get major withdrawal symptoms to the point where like I can't walk, I can't see, like I could just get dizzy. And it's like, it's terrifying to know that my body is like so attached to this pill that like my whole life shuts down if I don't have it. But also I feel so good constantly that it's just like, yeah, it's worth it. But so I have a 90-day script. I'm waiting for my new insurance to kick in so I can go get some more.
Yeah.
But
Gosh, dude.
antidepressants,
I
they're cool, but bad.
they're cool. No, that's so my wife Chan, she does all that type of stuff, but with pregnancy there's like categories of pills
Oh,
that are okay and not okay. And some of the stuff that she's on is like it's not okay. And so it's just so apparent. Like the second she's like off, I'm like, okay, like what do we gotta go and
what
take
do you
care of, you
need?
know?
Yeah. Is
Yep.
she on an
And
SSRI? Do you know?
don't know.
Okay.
I should know stuff. That's
That's
another thing that terrifies me about who I am as a person. Chan knows everything, like everything, and I know nothing. Like if she were to go, I don't think I could access my bank account. I don't think like I couldn't do nothing.
dude, it's so funny to like hear you guys talking stuff. We're the exact opposite couples because like you are Serena and I am Chandler 1000%. If I were to die today, Serena would lose the house. There is zero chance that she would get everything figured out in time.
Yep. I am the Serena of our relationship because I don't know anything. She finally made a death book. She was like, if I die, read this book, and it's like it just has like every password and all that type of stuff. So
Yeah.
we keep that one safe. But yeah, it is it's bad, but it's okay because we're just our relationship's a little bit different like that. I think where we're just like our stuff is our stuff. Like
Yeah.
we don't have much separation on anything. So if she ever leaves me, I'm gonna be screwed. She's taking it all.
That's how my parents are. Is my dad has worked forever, and my mom, on and off, has been like a stay at home, and like usually she'll have like some job that she does part time or whatever. Like she'll be a receptionist at a dentist office, or she did like customer service for like an online business for a while, and that was full time. But she was always working from home and was not making great money. And so like my dad, I don't think has any idea how much money they have. Because like we'll go out to dinner and like they'll come to Arizona and they'll take us out to a nice restaurant. And my dad will literally just open his wallet and my mom will tell him which card to use because like he doesn't know what anything is. She's fully in charge of that world. He brings in the money and she's got the rest.
That's awesome.
So-
I think every other week, well, not maybe like every other month, I'll just be like, we're too poor. We can't do this. We can't afford this. And then Chan's like, she'll pull up her little app and she'll be like, we have this much money, this place. And I'm like, oh, okay, we're good. Like, she has to just remind me like, oh, we're not
Serena's
we're
the
not
same.
absolutely poor.
she gets stressed about like she for years like wouldn't buy new clothes or wouldn't buy like I'd have to convince her like force her to spend even like $100 and she's like panicking about it and it's like we're fine like this $100 doesn't matter like it's nothing and so she's always like are you sure and then for a minute it was kind of the opposite where she like got permission to spend and then she was just like going crazy and there was always Amazon packages coming so we're at a good balance now.
Yeah. A part of Chan's pregnancies, she did it with Hudson. She's doing it now. Is she becomes just an online shopper like mad? Like just we get packages every single day, and it is crap we don't need. So I literally sat her down. I was like, Chandler, you gotta stop. Like
Please
we gotta calm down on this. And what it is for her is like it's always looking back. Like she'll like look back. She's like, oh my gosh, like I had no idea. But it's like those $50 purchases
They add
every
up
day
so quick.
add up like it's rough. So
Yeah.
but I just when she realizes she has pregnancy brain, she's good. It's a different version of her, and so pregnant Chan is not normal Chan, and we get through it.
Hi, pregnant Chan. Listen to this again in 6 months, and hi, regular
don't-
Chan.
Pregnant Chan is probably not going to love this
Is,
episode.
does Chan listen? She doesn't.
No.
I know
she
that
didn't
she
listen to the last
doesn't.
one,
I
dude.
know that
I
she
know.
doesn't.
But her mom does. Her mom's listened like every episode. She's our biggest fan on
Hi, Chan's
my
mom.
last podcast. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I can promote this one because I want strangers validation. I don't want family validation. We've
Perfect.
already talked about this, but
Yeah.
that's all I'm going for. Just,
Well, now that we've
just some
got
strangers.
like a little catalog of episodes, I'm gonna start clipping some TikToks together, and let's go viral.
Go. Let's go.
What's up
viral.
from TikTok, everybody?
My last job is in education, and one of the professors that we work with, he basically challenged his class, and he was like, "Hey, like let's do a big social campaign to try to get a famous person to guest speak in our class." And they chose Dave Portnoy to get into their class or speak to their class.
They could have picked
and they-
anyone else, and it probably would have happened.
Yeah,
He's
probably.
not interested.
And they put it out there. They like ran a social campaign, and essentially the tweet that got some traction was the teacher said, "I'll put down $1,000 of my own money to your charity if you come and speak at our class." And then my company matched it so that then we like posted about it and stuff, and he did it. And
No
so,
way.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. I was on the call with them and stuff, and it was like 20 people on this Zoom call with Dave Portnoy, and
That's awesome.
it was
Wow.
pretty cool.
Cool, dude. Most of the time.
Yeah, yeah. It would be wild to like be that famous and then just do stuff because like that was like so small, like so ridiculously small for so ridiculously low money. Like that was definitely not worth his time, and he did it. So it's like it's crazy.
Yep. Now, when we hit it big, I want to be that guy for sure. Like, if
Yeah.
people want to take me to prom, like, I'm down. Like, if they want me to speak at a church, I'm down. Whatever you guys want. I'm here for the fans.
Those videos of like super big YouTubers like joining on Twitch streams of people with 0 followers and then giving them like $10 and they like just start balling. I'm like,
Yeah.
that gets you right in the
Oh,
feels.
dude. I always secretly hope when I'm live that Mr. Beast is going to come in. And, like, his videos, they're so bad because, like, they're always like, oh, clutch up this win and I'll give you $10,000. Bro, I can't win with zero pressure. Like, it's not going to happen. But I will take the $10,000, Mr. Beast. Please.
Heck yeah.
We bought a house. We got in the house and replaced all of the kitchen appliances. And then our water heater exploded and we had to replace that. I think you were here right when it started leaking, but it got so much worse. So we had to replace that, and that was $1.5 million. And while the plumber was here, we had him do the toilets, and it was the same plumber that replaced the hose bib on the backyard for $300 and all this stuff. So like, I'm into this house now. Like we're in. There's like $9,000 worth of landscaping that we've done. Like it's been crazy. And this week, that just so happens to be the coldest week in the year for Arizona, my heater stopped working, and I have been all over both the elements, the inside one that's in the attic and the outside. I've hit all the reset buttons. I've done everything that I can, and it's not working. And like, it's a unit from 2007, so it's up there in age. But heaters in Arizona tend to last longer because we don't need them very often. And so everything online is like, yeah, if it's well maintained, you can get 20 or 25 years out of it. So I'm hoping it's not dead. But I have to call a heating expert and pay them $300 to come look at it and tell me what's wrong. And if it needs to be replaced, the air conditioner is part of the same unit. It's also from 2007. ACs in Arizona do not last long. So if that's dead too, it's going to be like a $15,000 replacement. And I am blowing my brains out thinking about spending $15,000 on air. Like,
Yeah.
I just want to die. And so
Oh my
Serena has
gosh,
this
dude.
little space heater that she uses under her desk at work. And she's been bringing that home. And we like shut our bedroom door with the dogs in there and turn on this space heater. And by morning, it's warm in our bedroom. But like there you go. But the rest of our house, like I'll get up and get ready for work at a stupid time and get all dressed and everything. And I'll step out of our room and be like, because it's 60 degrees in my house. And I don't like that because I'm from Arizona. And yeah,
60 degrees. That sounds real nice. It was at -2 this morning.
so it's been getting outside. Outside it's like 35 or 40, so it's like kind of cold, but it's insulated pretty well because it gets hot here. But I think back to like when we came and visited you at that first place that you guys stayed at in Idaho, and like your house was so unbearably cold. I was freezing the whole time, and it must have been like 60 or 65 degrees in there, but I was dying. And so having my own house be 60 degrees when I normally keep it like 75, just the worst.
Oh man, I'm sorry, I almost froze you out. But
That's
yeah,
okay.
dude, it's so crazy how your body acclimates to stuff. Because like Idaho, like yeah, my daughter today, like we were outside. Today was a really weird day because it was so humid. Like it was like I don't know 90% humidity or something. But it was so humid that everything was freezing. Like everything, the buildings, the trees, everything is just covered in frost. It like looks like the day after tomorrow type of situation.
Yeah.
Because it just had that so wet and then it froze and stuff. And I was out working. Well, this is another Idaho thing. So I have a shed in my backyard that I converted into a little shop, and I went out to get in it. I haven't been in it in a couple weeks, and I couldn't open the door because there was
frozen shut.
probably about 4 inches of ice that have. I think it's melted off the top of it, and then
Yeah.
it's just kind of pulled up, and then it's just frozen. So it was about 4 inches of ice in front of the door, and it's a big barn door that swings open. And so I was out there with a hammer, and I'm just beating it to death, trying to get down into it so I can open the door. And I like didn't realize, but Hudson had followed me, and she'd been outside for like 30 minutes, and it's super humid, super cold. Like we're 10 degrees, and I like finally like look over, and she's like, "Hi, Dad." She's like short sleeve shirts. Like I think she was in her socks. Like she built different, man.
She's
Like,
like,
it
hey,
is-
Kelton, can you get me some hot chocolate?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, speaking of temperatures, I wanted to throw in like it's not really a segment, but like kind of a segment, I guess, like a neat little science thing that I learned this week. Because I talked about something similar last week, but I want you to guess what the hottest temperature in the recorded universe is. If you were to just throw out a number, what would you guess it to be?
Oh, I'm gonna be so bad at this because I have no frame of reference. But I'm thinking like the sun, and I'm thinking like millions of degrees.
Okay, so the
million.
sun, if you go to the hottest part of our sun, the core of our sun is 15 million degrees Celsius,
Oh.
which is 27 million degrees Fahrenheit.
Wow.
The hottest temperature in the recorded universe, and we assume that things can get hotter, but the hottest temperature that we've seen and measured was in Germany at the Large Hadron Collider, and they were spinning lead ions around and around and around, and they collided them together, and it created a flashpoint. The hottest temperature in the recorded universe was in Germany, and it was 5.5 trillion degrees Celsius, which is 10 trillion degrees Fahrenheit. The core of the sun is 27 million degrees, and we got 10 trillion degrees, 9,000 times hotter than the core of the sun in Germany like 5 years ago. Unbelievable.
I, I hear things like this, okay, and I
How did
don't
we
get
not
that.
instantly vaporize the whole
Yeah, like
planet?
why didn't the whole Earth just like? Poof,
So
okay, it got that hot.
the reason is because it was like just a portion of a second that heat was there, because like those ions collided and they just nuclear there I don't know the term for it, but it was nuclear fusion that took place. So they fused into one ion, and that amount of energy just for a microsecond, 10 trillion degrees Fahrenheit. Can you imagine being the scientist, like standing at the glass window, you're like looking at your life's work, and then your skin melts off, and like everyone was fine, there was no damage, but like 10 trillion degrees.
Wow, that this
Phoenix in
always
June.
puts things. Phoenix in June. This always puts it in perspective for me. Is like, I believe to get through a billion seconds, it's like 32 years to get through a billion seconds, and I always compare it to like, oh, we earn $32 trillion in debt as a nation or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, trillion is not a real number.
It's
like
not.
billion is barely a real number to me. At least I can comprehend it.
1,000 billions, I think, is a trillion.
Stupid. That's stupid. I can't. That's crazy.
Well, you look at
That is crazy hot.
it was like something I read maybe a year ago, but it was like Jeff Bezos's money, and this was like at his peak when he was still the richest, so Elon Musk hadn't caught up yet. But it was like, in order for Jeff Bezos to have as much money as he did, he had to have made like $60,000 a second for his entire existence, and it just that broke me. Like that's such a big number. And then Elon passed him up by a significant portion, and it doesn't even come close to a trillion. Like, and not
Crazy.
even further away from that, 10 trillion.
Jeez.
Unbelievable. Science is so cool.
Have you heard what people are kind of speculating that Elon Musk is going to buy TikTok?
I downright refuse. He has ruined Twitter. He is not allowed anywhere near TikTok.
It's an interesting theory that I've heard recently. It probably isn't going to happen, but basically what they're saying is like, he's so big brain, like he's so much a genius that he was like, I can purchase Twitter. Twitter has the infrastructure to manage TikTok, and TikTok will need to become a US based entity, all the type of stuff, because of all of its privacy issues. And so he will then leverage his net worth and basically buy TikTok, use the infrastructure of Twitter to maintain it.
Yeah, that may have been his initial plan, but Twitter is bleeding. They have zero money. He's losing $1 billion a month, so that's fine by me.
That's fine.
Stay away from TikTok. You're not ruining my favorite app.
There's just probably some Chinese guy locked in a closet that has to look at all the things you go through on your phone.
Yeah,
It's like,
100%. Yeah, my data is not safe. I was on TikTok even when they knew that China was stealing stuff from it. So now it's kind of regulated, and they actually have a corporate office here in Phoenix that I applied to when I was looking for work. I was obviously not accepted. That would have been the best job, but yeah, no, they have my facial recognition. They have my search data for the last 10 years. They have my bank account numbers, I'm sure. Like, it's all right. Everyone has them. Amazon. I've never been in a Tesla, but I'm sure Elon has it. So,
you know what? I work with data and all that type of stuff. It's like, I just don't care.
yep.
Unless you're still in my money and stuff. It's like,
Take
you
all the
wanna
data you
know?
want. Serve me up ads, daddy. I'll buy them.
yeah. and the thing is like, there for a while, I was like, I kind of went old 70-year-old guy and was like, oh, I don't want the government listening to me. And so I started like muting stuff and like controlling, because there's tons of settings you can get into that like give you the ability to do it. And now everything in my algorithm sucks. Like it just serves me stuff I don't care about. And it's like, you know what? You can have it back. Like,
Was my privacy worth having a shitty online experience?
it's not.
No.
No, I just don't care. I don't think other people care enough about what I'm doing online for it to matter, you know?
Yeah.
Thanks for joining the podcast today. Hope you all enjoyed it. We'll see you next week.